Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Albuquerque Aliens Draft to Glory franchise mode here in NHL 25. So, in last episode, if you didn't catch it, we had the Year 5 draft and off-season, and our team is up here for another season. Hopefully, this year we could eclipse 20 wins. Last year we had 19 wins, which was a very nice season. And I think our team is starting to come together quite nicely on paper. And I'm expecting us to hopefully take a little bit more of a step up this coming season. As you can see, this is what our lineup is looking like going into the season. We got Kolar's, Ristolainen, and Staubitz. That line was great last year. Hopefully it's good again. Second line still obviously a little bit on the weaker front, so we still don't have the best depth on paper, so hopefully this improves a bit. But Capaduca is going to be playing with Bogosian and Del Monte. Del Monte, we tried to get him to change to center in last episode, and he did not want to change over to center, so apparently we are going to be keeping him on the left wing for now. There is a chance maybe at some point we could move Kolar's to a center role, but right now I think obviously I'd prefer him to be on the top line with Ristolainen and Staubitz. Our third line, Timmins, Steen, and Malkin. Hopefully that's a decent line that looks good on paper. And then our fourth line, Perron, Tulipov, and Noonan. So I think our team is starting to come together on the offensive side of things. We almost have no forward below a 70 overall, which is pretty good. So at least we're starting to build up that depth. I think down the middle, we're actually not that bad either. And pretty much our weakest point right now might be the left wing on the bottom six. But honestly, I don't really know if there's much of a weakness there on this forward group. What's kind of nice though is like our fourth line is a grinder, a two-way, and a two-way. So at least we kind of are building up lines to play more respective to where they should be. So like these power forwards and snipers are okay to be on the third line, but obviously they wouldn't be ideal fourth liners. It's good to have kind of like two-way and grindy kind of guys down there. So I think everything's starting to come together with that. From a defensive standpoint, we have Drew Bell, who we drafted early this year at third overall, the DFD. A little bit of a controversial pick, but I think it is a decent one just because him next to Tuzolino should give Tuzolino a lot of freewheeling to do some great offensive stuff this season. Second pairing has still Trevelyan and Arena. I think this pairing obviously is still a little bit weak. Obviously, Arena is looking pretty good, but we do need to have a nice right-handed defenseman next to Arena. Hopefully a DFD if possible, and then we could also build up with some two-way defensemen at some point too. But you can definitely see our defensive prospects still need a lot of work because obviously guys like Walking David shouldn't be here for the long term, only with 70 potential. So that's definitely another area we need to work on. And then our goaltending is not too bad right now, but obviously it's still not the best. We have Dalcoli, who is a 73, and Shipley, who is a 72. So we kind of still need more goaltending. We need more defense, and we need a little bit better of a bottom, I'd say bottom 9 for instance. So if Capaduca and Bogosian could get some good growth, that'd be nice. And then if we could get more like guys on the third line that are developing nicely and all that, then our bottom 6 will be a lot stronger. So I just don't think our team's still going to be super good on paper, but with a new head coach, maybe this team can actually do well this season. We also do have some guys in the HL for another year, so Ilya Bure will be down there. Same with Thomas Zetterberg, so hopefully they have a good year ahead. We also do have Bill Camilleri on the offensive side of things, so those 3 prospects. And then from a defensive standpoint, you can see we have a bunch of defensemen. Bates, we have Whitfield, Gardner, Pavelski, Volk, and Trainer. And we also do have actually a couple scratches as well in Ryan Tamlin, our former backup goaltender. He's going to be now in the AHL as a scratch goaltender. So I think at some point Tamlin will leave this team, unfortunately. And we also do have Neil Fair as a depth defenseman as well. So we have actually some okay prospects, or a good amount of defensive prospects in the system, but nobody's super, super good. Like Tyson Gardner, I'm hoping has a good year. This is his first year in the AHL. He has low elite potential. Whitfield, I hope, has a good year. Obviously, last year he was in the NHL. But I think obviously he still has a ways to develop before he could become a top 6 defenseman for our team. So there is all that. And before we get into simulating some of the season and setting up some season goals as well, because I'll have to do that as well, let's get in your guys' comments and see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we'll get into all that and see what we do in year number 6. Hopefully it's a good year for this team. So the first comment is from Saturn Otaku, who says, the team looks decent and I expect you'll reach 25 wins this season. Who are your captains and alternates? So he expects 25 wins from this team, which I think is definitely doable with us hitting 19 wins last year, and we had also like 9 overtime losses. So 25 regulation wins, or wins in general, should be doable hypothetically, because our team is a bit stronger than it was last season. and he was asking about who our captains and alternate captains are. I know that I think Staubitz is our current head, or not head coach, what am I saying? He is our current captain. Our alternate captains, according to this game, which were determined by AI, is Ristolainen, which I don't mind. Ristolainen as an A is a good one. And then Trevelyan has an A too. That's actually not a bad shout. That's not a bad shout. Because obviously he's been here since like pretty much the beginning almost. So I don't mind him having the A for now. Obviously once he's in the HL, I would probably say we'd maybe want to have one defensive alternate. So it could be like Narena, it could be Tuzolino. Or we could even go with the guys like Spike Parks for a little bit before he gets winged out. But I think Ristolainen as an alternate is a good shout for sure. We could always technically give one to Kolars, but I think right now I don't know if Kolars gets one just because he's been here kind of the least amount of time over the top six. So yeah, I think Staubitz, Ristolainen is good, and Trevelyan as an alternate for now is a good thing. So at some point he will obviously get replaced as an alternate. The next comment is from Michael Dose, who says, just wondering, which do you prefer, regular league that you could trade like the Islanders current series, or this where there is no trades? And I kind of prefer these ones because it's kind of interesting, like just making a team via the draft picks that you have and all that. Sometimes you have good players, sometimes you don't have so good of players. Like I just like taking teams from nothing to something. So for instance, with the Islanders series, since we're already trying to contend and win a Stanley Cup, it's not as fun, I would say, but it definitely gets fun once you actually get to the stage where you're offloading all the current players and then you eventually get a team full of generated guys, because I'd really like having generated players on my team over real players. So that's kind of a thing that I like to have in both my series, and which makes it a little bit more fun when you have these random like generated guys. Like who would ever have thought of a random guy like Emiliano Del Coli, for instance, or random names like that. So it's just kind of fun to see what the game throws together for a name and what they look like as well. In the last and final comment is from Nick Bucka Baron's OC, who says, totally disagree with taking a DFD, lowering your ceiling. No way he will be worth what he asked to be paid in 6 to 10 years from now. Also, a player with a teammate utilization as a weakness just screams, I am going to slow the offense down when I am out there, which is not good for a top line. While Cairns would have legit 60 goal upside at his best possible outcome, overall you lowered the team's ceiling with that move, and I disagree to an extent here. So the sniper, like I said, we're going to be able to find tons of snipers in future drafts, and I think we could easily find just as good a player as Clifford Cairns with a draft pick even this upcoming offseason. I think targeting a defensive defenseman, obviously it's going to cost us a lot maybe in the long run, but it's important to have somebody like that on our team, because you can't just have a defensive core full of two-ways and offensive defensemen, because it's not going to assimilate necessarily that great. You need to have some DFDs in there, and if you don't have an elite DFD maybe next to Tuzolino, maybe he's not going to do as well. Like I think it's important to have those DFDs next to somebody that's that offensively minded. Like, we could even make Tuzolino more of an offensive threat in the offseason by keep on getting that awareness up there. So I think having a good rock behind him is basically the important thing to have. Like, Bell could literally just, like, stay in the defensive zone the entire time. Tuzolino could jump up and freewheel around the ice because he's got the great skating and all that. So I think it's just important to kind of have a rock for him. And I think it's probably important we get one for Norena at some point too. But it would be important also for us to find some two-way defensemen, because at the moment, Trevelyan is a two-way, but he's obviously not that great of one. Parks is a defensive defenseman, and Walking David's an offensive defenseman. So I just think I want to kind of build this team up more from a balanced approach, so we target a couple huge, good defensive forwards, good defensive defensemen, some good offensive players, obviously, and some good offensive defensemen, some good DFDs, DOADs, good goaltending. Like, I think we just need to basically build up wherever we want to. And like I said, I think there's going to be a lot more snipers in future drafts as well. So I think we should be able to easily get ourselves another option. Another thing that also kind of made that choice to me was also the fact that I didn't know for sure that Del Monte was going to move over to center, because if Del Monte actually wanted to choose over to center, then we have a left wing spot open for another player like a sniper. So since Del Monte didn't want to change, I think that was an okay move, because obviously now he's locked into that position. I'm not going to try and get him to move again, because it's unrealistic to ask the same player over and over again to keep changing over to center. So if Kolars doesn't want to change over to center, having 3 elite left wingers just doesn't make sense to me. So that's where I think that makes more sense, is what we did. Obviously, if there's a right wing sniper that's medium elite, I think that would be a lot better than a left wing sniper, because the right wing sniper that's medium elite could probably fit into this top 6 quite nicely. So that would be okay. But a left winger, when we already have 2 elite left wingers, I just think it adds too much depth to the left wing side that we don't really need, because we just kind of need like top 6 forwards or top 9 forwards in that bottom 6. We don't really want to have an elite player playing on the third line, so I just want to make sure everybody's playing in the right areas, and if guys don't want to change positions, they don't have to change positions. So anyways, there is the comments we got in last episode. So now I'm going to quickly go ahead and do all these season goals, so that way we could get some of these guys potentially getting some more growth throughout the season, and then we will start up year number 6. So see you guys in a second. Okay guys, so all the goals have been set, basically the same pretty much things as the last 2 years. So Tuzolino assist related, Ristolainen more face-off stuff, a lot of assist stuff for Kolar, Staubitz, Del Monte, Narena as well. Shot blocking for Bell, passing related for Bogosian, blocking shots for Perron, goals for Malkin, Kapaduka, and just obviously challenging for like the number 1 spot for like the goaltenders. Steen, I think I put it at face-offs or goals. I can't remember. Actually, I think it was goals, and I think Tulipov, I tried to get him better at face-offs. So that's basically the gist of what I gave out for goals this season. I also gave out some in the AHL, but not everybody, because some of them don't really have any potential anyways, so might as well not focus on them too much. But anyways, now that that is done, I think we're ready to get into this season and see what this team could do with our new head coach. Hopefully this team could do better than last year. Obviously last year was a great year, but I would like to see us continuing to improve. So let's go to the start of the preseason, and we got to talk to our head coach, Isaac Wharton. So let's see what he has to say. So what's the season goal? What do you think about our roster? Looking on paper, there's a lot of work to do still. Yeah, I totally agree. There's a lot of work to do. We're not going to be making the playoffs yet, obviously. But obviously, to eclipse 20 wins, I think that's our main goal. Because obviously, if we start to fall off from prior seasons, that's where it's a little bit worrisome. But obviously, I think we should do better, hopefully, than last year. And last year was a great year. So not downplaying that downplaying that at all. Anyways, let's get to the end of the preseason, see what we do. I'm hoping that we have a much better defensive season as well, because I think our defensive team is definitely a bit stronger. Our goaltending is technically a bit stronger too. And I know the coaches maybe will play a little bit better too. So if we allow like around 4 goals a game or less than 4 goals a game, that would be a big win for sure. As we finished 2-6 in the preseason, which isn't too bad. I think that ties our record from last season, or maybe it was a few seasons ago, but leading us in points in the preseason was Ristolainen with 5 points in 8 games, so we weren't scoring a lot during the preseason, only 1.38 goals for per game, and our goals against was actually below 4 in the preseason, so that's actually pretty nice, 3.88, and our power play was 10%, which is not great, and our penalty kill was pretty bad, so special teams, hopefully they're better during the actual season itself. Obviously, preseason doesn't really matter too much at all. Alright, so now that that is done, let's go over to the calendar and start simulating some of the season. Hopefully we get also some good results with our goaltenders too, because if we could get a goaltender to have above a 900 save percentage, I would be pretty happy with that, because so far I'm pretty sure most of the time we've been in around like the 870 range, 880 range, so it would be nice to have a goaltender eventually start to win more games, or not necessarily win more games than lose, but technically just have a better save percentage and give us a better chance to win games. So let's go to, I guess, December the 1st, so take it a little bit slow and just see how our team does during that stretch. So our first game of the season is a shutout win, 2-0. So that's a great way to start off with a new head coach winning the first game of the season. And then we lose the next 2 games in a shootout. So far we're undefeated through our first 3 games in regulation. Wow. Okay. Was not expecting this type of a start. 2-1-2. We're going to definitely fall off here though, right? Yeah. Hey, 3-2-2. Okay. This is probably our best start to our season yet. So that's really good to see. Yeah, in our first month, we're literally, just over our first month, we're literally 4-4-2. We're winning more games than losing right now, which is kind of weird. I definitely expect it to fall off a cliff here soon. There we go. I think now it's right at this stage because we've lost 3 in a row. Because there's no way this team's going to make the playoffs, right, with this roster. Yeah, we're definitely falling off a cliff now. But that was a really good start still, which I like to see. We definitely carried that momentum from last season into this one. There's another shutout win over the Rangers, so that's a good team to beat. Final few games of November, we lose that one. Game against Vegas, we lose in overtime, so that's still a point. And San Jose is another overtime loss. So at December the 1st, we already have 6 wins and 12 losses, 5 OT losses. So technically, we have points in 11 of our 23 games this season. So that is really good to see, so very happy with that. Let's continue to simulate, to be honest. We are currently still probably last place. Actually, we're not last place in the entire league. This could be a year where we don't finish dead last, but also it depends really, I guess, on just the AI, because I think we definitely should still finish dead last, but if we finish like 31st or 32nd, that would be a nice little upgrade. Let's go 1 month at a time now. Go to January the 1st, see if we can get some more wins together. But yeah, very happy with the start of the year. Definitely shows that our team is trajecting to be a good team soon. And we should easily be able to get 25 plus, or around 25 wins like Siren Taku was mentioning, I think. Even if we get like 23 wins, I'd be happy with that, so. Alright, there's another shutout win, and we've already had 3 shutouts, I think, this season as well. So hopefully the good goalie results from Dalcoli or Shipley. That would be nice. Game against Anaheim, 4-3 win there as well. And final game of the 2029 portion of the year is another win. So 11 wins in our first 46 games, or 36 games actually for that matter. We have points in 16 games already. That's actually pretty impressive. Pretty impressive, because at this stage, we're not even halfway through the year. I think we're definitely eclipsing 20 wins. I'm not sure if we're going to hit 25, but we could come close for sure. I would assume we're in last place now in the league. Ducks are just above us. Caps are still below us by 1 point, so the Washington Capitals might finish below us. Who knows? Interesting. So there is a chance we could be like the 31st worst team in the league instead of the 33rd. That would be impressive for this team to do with the defensive core we kind of have on paper and all that. Like, I don't know if our top line is carrying our play or what, but I'm very curious to look at player stats once we get to that stage. Like, I could already take a look at some stats, but I would prefer to wait till the end of the season so that way we're all kind of surprised. So let's go to the end of January and see if we could get up to maybe like around 17 wins by the end of the month, maybe. I don't know exactly. 8-0 loss to Carolina, Jesus. Yeah, this team's definitely going to still have these really rough games, but it's more about just trying to find those early stage wins and some good defensive efforts too to build upon. There's a win over Nashville and an 8-4 win over Philadelphia, so back-to-back wins. Nice. Game against Calgary is another win. We've won 3 in a row again. So our team's on a little winning streak, 4 in a row, and it's ended by the Devils, but that's a really good stretch there from the team. Love to see it. Game against Dallas is a loss. Washington is an overtime loss, so that's at least a point, but that is against another bad team. And then we also lose to Edmonton in overtime, and Winnipeg we lose to in regulation. So 15, 28, and 7. We are probably last place now. Ducks are 2 points up on us. We're still 1 point up on the Washington Capitals. If we don't finish dead last this season, I will be really impressed with that. That's pretty nice. We've played 50 games so far, so we got 32 more games. Wonder how much more wins we're going to finish off with, because we are 5 wins away from 20 wins already. Last season, we had 19 wins by the end of the year, so we should be able to easily break last year's record, but I'm not too sure if we're going to get to that 25 wins, because if we have 32 games left, we need 10... We need to basically win 1 out of every 3 games if we the rest of the season. It is doable, I think, but depends if this team's going to go on a nice little winning streak again or if they're going to have a bunch of losses in a row all of a sudden. But let's go to this game against Buffalo and see what we do here in February. Game against Nashville is a loss, but it's a nice defensive game at least, so I will take it. Game against Chicago. 6-4 win. Nice. Vegas. Shootout loss, that's another extra frame point. We're getting a lot of extra frame points again like last year, so that's good. There's a win over Detroit. Nicely done, boys. Win over the Kraken in a shootout. We lose to the Canucks. Tampa Bay is another win. We're on our most wins in franchise history here shortly if we could get one more win. Game against Boston is a loss. Game against the Islanders is another loss. Game against St. Louis is a shootout win. We have hit 20 wins for the first time in franchise history. Let's go, boys. Last season, we were 19-something and 9. We're already almost right above that, so very impressive with 20 games to go. I think we could definitely hit 25 now based on that. So impressed. Let's go to a day after the deadline. We'll take a look at what trades happened around the league, even though I don't want to go into that screen because I don't want to see who led us in points and all that. So we do also beat Buffalo, so that's our 21st win. Nice little stretch from this team. A lot of wins in the shootout and stuff like that too. So we're becoming a shootout specialist, it seems like. But 21, 34, and 8 a day after the deadline. Let me quickly go down here so I don't want to look at player stats. Let me just not look at that. I'm blocking it out of my viewpoint. I'd want to go down to activity feed. There you go. I had to close one of my eyes, block whatever I can so that I didn't see anything. But in terms of trades around the league, just because I know some of you guys wanted to take a look at this. Kalen Addison got dealt to Tampa Bay. Urson got dealt to Dallas with Henry Thrun. Broberg and Jones to Toronto. Nick Robertson to Vegas, okay. Faravari to Pittsburgh. Mason McTavish got dealt to the Islanders, damn, okay. Ryan Pollock going to Anaheim. Hagel and Milano going to Anaheim as well. Was that Marion Anton's guy, the guy I was looking at last year's draft? I feel like it was. That got added to that deal. Jack Quinn going to Calgary. Cormier and Chaitka to Ottawa. Connor McMichael to Vegas. Hendrix Lapierre to Vancouver. Ryan Lindgren to Vancouver. What else have we got here? Sam Bolduc to LA. Trevor Moore to Columbus. Justin Barron to Chicago. Jamie Benn got dealt to San Jose. Luke Kunin and Pizzetta to New Jersey. Sean Couturier to Edmonton. That's an interesting one. Barrett Hayton to Utah. Wait, Barrett Hayton would have started on Utah, so he got dealt to LA and then went back to Utah. Interesting. Jake Evans to Dallas with Christian Dvorak. All right, let me block this part of the screen again. I don't want to see who's leading us in points and anything. You guys could probably look and all that if you want to, but I just do not want to see anything related to our player stats. I want to surprise myself at least. Maybe I should just block that part of the screen from now on so you guys can't even see it. I don't know if I'll do that. Anyways, let's continue to simulate and see what happens. So let's go to the 15th. Let's take the rest of this a little bit slow and see if we can get to 25 wins. Yes, that'd be nice. Wow, 3 wins in a row again. 7-5 win over Ottawa. We lose to Colorado. Anaheim. We win against them 4-3. Game against Los Angeles. Another win. Okay, we're having some big wins here now. You're on the stretch. Lost to Carolina, lost to Minnesota. We're on 24 wins. We're 1 win away from 25 wins already. I don't even know how this team is growing so quickly. Because I feel like we're still missing a lot of pieces on this team. We have one elite line, basically. And all of our other lines are kind of like jumbled around. Like I feel like somebody's having a breakout year this year. But I don't know if it's one of the offensive defensemen or what. Let's go to the 23rd, do another few games. Toronto. Can we beat them for our 25th win of the year? No, we can't. We lose in a shootout. That's still a point. Utah. We do win there. That's our 25th win of the season. Let's go, boys. What a year for this team. 25 wins. We managed to do what Sarantaku was mentioning. Can we get closer to 30 wins is the question, because we do still have the amount of games to get there. We can hit 30 wins, but I doubt we are. There's an overtime loss to another point. We lose to Florida, and we lose to New Jersey. Man, our record looks so weird because we have 10 extra frame losses. Game against Dallas coming up. Then the month is a win, so we're on to 26, 41, and 10. We have 5 games left, so there is a chance we could hit 30 wins, but we'd need to win pretty much every game remaining if we wanted to do that. Washington has passed us in the standings, so we are probably back to dead last again. But let's see if we could find a way to somehow pass them. If we win against them here, there's a chance we can. Let's do the first 3 games. So Washington, please beat them. And yes, we do. 8-4. We might not finish dead last. You never know. Game against Winnipeg is a shootout loss. So yeah, we're not going to hit 30 wins, but we're on 27 wins. And we're not too far off of the Jets either. Final 2 games of the season. Can we hit 29 wins? After last year, we won only 19. That'd be interesting. Rangers is a 9-3 loss, of course. Montreal's a loss as well. So we're going to finish off the season 27, 44, and 11. That's way better than anticipated. Like, I was thinking 20, 25 wins at most. But 27 wins. Like, we literally had a 30-win season with this roster. So that is quite impressive. And then if we look at the standings in the bottom part of this, we did not finish in dead last. Washington finished below us. So for the first time in franchise history, the Albuquerque Aliens are not the worst team in the NHL. Let's go, boys. Ooh, and I see that Kolar's led us in points with 73, so we might not have got as much offense as I was hoping for, but we'll take a look at some of those stats here. But first and foremost, the standings. So if we go over here to entire league, yeah, we were the second worst team in the league. And there was a chance that we could have passed Winnipeg and Anaheim as well. So we're getting to that stage soon where our team is actually going to be probably picking later than first overall. Like we might have like a 5th overall pick or something like that down the road. But very happy with this season. I'm really surprised we finished above the Capitals already this season. Like, what is their roster looking like right now? Okay, it's a kind of a bad-looking roster, not going to lie. Bunting, Strome, Osterlund, Mirosnichenko, Dubois, Honzig, Suzdaliv, Oreshny, Minton, Jacobson, Kisakov, and Wilson. Looks like a lot of mix of young guys and veterans. Doesn't look like the best team on paper, so I can kind of see why they maybe finished below us. In terms of goals for per game, we were not the worst offensive team in the league either. The Buffalo Sabres and the Winnipeg Jets were worse. So for the first time in franchise history, I think we're not the worst offensive team, unless last season it was like that. Goals against per game. We were not the worst defensive team either. The Anaheim Ducks and the Capitals were worse than us. We only allowed 3.76 goals for per game. So I don't know if it was bringing in a defensive defenseman that helped things, but we definitely are starting to become a better defensive team. And I am really liking that. Because I remember a few years ago, we were allowing like 8 goals a game. So to see 3.76, major win. Our power play is still dead last in the league, so special teams still need some work apparently. And our penalty kill was also dead last. So our special teams pretty much held us back a little bit, it seems like. So that's not terrible. 4 shorthanded goals. We actually had 15 wins on home ice and 12 on the road. Damn, good stuff. 2-6-2 in our last 10 games at the end of the season. All right. And it was actually Ristolainen and leading us in points with 74. So it looks like maybe some pretty balanced offense based in that. Let's see what we got in terms of player stats here. So starting off with our centers, Ristolainen on 74 points, 38 goals, 36 assists. He's still a very good hybrid player, -6 only. So the plus-minus on that top line doing really well the last few years. And his face-off percentage, once again, up to a 58% on the draw. He had 162 takeaways. Maybe I should try and get him to win a Selke. He might win a Selke this season based on those numbers. So is Kari Ristolainen going to be the first one to win a major award other than Spike Parks and Matt Trevelyan? Maybe. Because that face-off percentage and takeaway numbers are better than last season. His stats a little bit worse in terms of offense, but his defensive play has improved. And yeah, his face-off percentage keeps getting better every year. Those takeaways were really good this season. I think he literally could be up there for a Selke on a team that didn't even make the playoffs. The -6 might hurt him a bit, though. So I'm not too sure on that. Bogosian on 41 points is pretty good. Ooh, up to a 77. I don't even remember if this guy had medium 6 potential to start his career or not. But he's developing nicely. Like, he's not the most craziest offensive player, don't get me wrong. But the fact that he's up to a 77 at 23 is better than I anticipated. He's definitely grown really well. So shout out to Jameson Bogosian. Stefan Steen, 23 points, not bad. 13 goals, I will take that. He's up to a 72 at 19. How does that compare to last year? It's much better. Nice. Also had a shorthanded goal, apparently. Nikita Tulipov, 15 points, only 2 goals, but he's not really a guy that shoots the puck a ton. Only 55 shots this season. His face-off percentage was 43.4, so these two guys still need to work on their face-offs a bit, or we'll have to change them over to left wing and right wingers instead. That's still definitely a possibility. In terms of our left wingers, speaking of Matej Kolar, 73 points this year, 59 assists. Damn. Really good year for him. Even 0. He was not even a minus player. So the first player to be an even player in a season for our team. Let's friggin' go, Kolars. Yeah, definitely a downfall from last year, but still great defense. So his goal scoring dropped off in half, but his assists stayed right around the same. He's been really good, and he's going to get paid some good money this offseason likely. So, shout out to Kolars. A lot of hits still for him. Yeah, pretty good season. Oh, man, I sneezed in between that cut, and holy crap. It just feels weird. Anyways, Cade Del Monte, 47 points in his second season. I think this is his second season, right? Yeah, his second season. Yeah, pretty good. Definitely becoming more of that assist guy that we need him to be. I like that. How is his face-off stats again? Over 50% on the draws again. I know I said that we shouldn't try and ask him again to become a center, but maybe we do. Like, what's his face-offs looking like? Still 77. If I get him to work on his face-offs in the offseason, maybe that would help him a little bit in terms of changing over to a center. But he's still looking pretty good. And then Jesus Capaduca, 28 points, 10 goals. I'll take 10 goals from him. Up to a 76. So these top 6 forwards are starting to develop, which is great for our depth. Then we have Noonan on 14 points. Not bad. 9 goals. So I'll take it. He is still 69, so he might stay right around that. Right wing side of things, Stelwitz on 68 points, 29 goals, 39 assists. Yeah, he's not the best offensive player, to be honest. Like, he's kind of capping out as more of a top 6 forward than anything. Like, his offense has dropped off the last few years, but he is starting to score more goals like we originally were hoping from him. 29 goals this year is a career high. So, there is some positive with that. Face-offs are okay. Like, we could always change him over to a center if we want to as well. He's one of those guys that we could try. Because he's got good passing and good face-offs, all that. But he is 24 years old now, so maybe he's not going to want to change. But, yeah, at least his contract is not overly expensive. Like, if we would have paid him $8+ million for a guy that's only going to stay at an 86, that would be bad. But 5.8 is pretty good. So, I'll take it. Ooh, big year for Pavel Malkin. 22 goals and 34 points. I did want him to hit 20 goals this season, and he did that. So shout out to Pavel Malkin, doubling up from last year. So yeah, big year from him. Big year. So that's great to see, and he's up to a 74 as a low 6, which isn't too bad. Timmins on 22 points. I'll take it for his role, and then only 9 points from Dean Perron, who continues to not put up a lot of points, but still 74 overall, which is useful. So there's our forward gore. Defensively, I'm kind of curious on the offensive defenseman especially. Hey, Tuzzolino, 66 points. Maybe up there for Norris, probably not because of the plus-minus, but Tuzzolino should be a guy that wins the Norris at some stage. Big year from him. He's definitely still developing really nicely, and I'm glad I gave him that big extension. Yeah, that's a great year. 2 short-handed goals as well as an offensive defenseman, which is awesome. He was playing 26 minutes a game. Let's friggin' go. Blocks actually a good amount of shots for an OFD too, so yeah, Bradley Tuzzolino is looking pretty damn solid. And then Norena hit 30 points this year again. So Norena, oh damn, he dropped down to 77. He's still looking pretty good though. Like, he's still pretty consistent on the 30+ points. Like, he's not a hugely great offensive defenseman, but I think it's because his awareness isn't climbing up much more. Like, it's only like an 82. I think it was before an 84, though. But he's got great passing, but his offensive awareness does not seem to be climbing up, which that's definitely hurting him in terms of getting more points. But he's been good. We are definitely going to have to pay him a good chunk of money here soon. Walking David, 22 points. That's not bad for what type of player he is. Drew Bell, 20 points as a DFD. That's not bad at all either. -12, so good little shutdown year from Drew Bell, listed now as a top 480 overall. I'll take it. I will definitely take it. How's his shot blocking and stuff? Because for his goal, I think I gave him shot blocking related ones. Let's see. 144 hits, 114 block shots. Looking pretty good. So he throws a lot of hits and blocks a lot of shots, which is exactly what you kind of need next to somebody like Tuzzolino. Trevelyan continues to decline a little bit, 14 points only this season. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think eventually he's going to be out of the lineup. His numbers just have been getting worse and worse each year. Like, Matt Trevelyan will go down as a guy that was great early on, but he's now going to become more of an AHL defenseman, I think, at some point. And then Spike Parks, 13 points, which is not too bad. Same with Spike Parks. He also might be one of those type of guys that just decides to fall off a cliff. Like, he hasn't been great really since his rookie season. So there's a good chance that we're going to start having to wean out these type of guys, unfortunately. And then from a goalie perspective, let's see the goaltending. We did have a goalie above a 900. That's great. But first and foremost, Emiliano Colli had 17 wins this season, 8 OT losses, 2 shouts, and 894 save percentage, so he was almost at a 900, and a 3.86 goals against. Meanwhile, Tommy Shipley was 10-11-3 with 2 shouts, a 903 save percentage, and a 3.22 goals against. So far, Shipley might have been our best goalie in our franchise's history because he picks up a good chunk of shouts, and he has won a lot of games for the amount of games we've won early on in this franchise mode. Del Cloy's up to a 75 at 23. This was his best season for sure of his career. Yeah, it's good to see both goalies improving. Love to see it. So there is our player stats. Let's take a quick look around the league as well for fun. Who led the league in points? Connor McDavid, not really surprised. 141 points for Connor McDavid. Most goals this season was Aho with 66. A couple other 60 goal scorers include Draisaitl, Pasternak, and Rantanen. And he also had some guys on 50 plus as well. So, a lot of points this season, looks like. Selke candidates, just to see if Ristolainen could be up there. I don't think he's going to win it just because of the plus minus, but if he does, he led the league in takeaways by a little bit, but by centers, he's definitely the best in takeaways. Is Ristolainen going to win a Selke on a team that finished literally second worst in the league? That would be very impressive. If he does that, I'm going to be really, really happy with that, man. Like, definitely he could be a guy that wins tons of Selkies if he continues like this. And then based on face-off percentage amongst, like, actual centermen, the only ones that would be up there would be, like, Mark Scheifele, but he didn't take a lot of face-offs this year. Yeah, the most face-offs and best face-off percentage is Kari Ristolainen. I think Ristolainen might have a Selke on a team that finished that low in the standings, which would be crazy. Best defenseman in terms of points, Evan Bouchard with 90, Quinn Hughes with 89. Cale Makar up there still. Tuzolino finished top 10 in defensive points. So there might be a chance Tuzolino has a Norris coming really soon. So that's really great. Which kind of makes sense because obviously we gave him this kind of a contract. So I do definitely want him to always be up there for a chance at Norris. In terms of our goalies in the league, Rasmus Korhonen, of all people, led the league in wins. Most shutouts by a starting goalie was Gustafsson in Columbus with 7. Best save percentage by a starter, Dustin Wolf with a 915. But also Demko up there too. It's probably going to be Demko that wins the Vezina based on that. Yeah, likely it's Demko. Or even actually Devin Levi might win another. Yeah, I think it's going to be Devin Levi. It's kind of funny how good he's doing and now Buffalo's doing crappy. Any goalie goals? No goalie goals this season. Most assists was Devin Levi again. Damn, Devin Levi's having a great time in Colorado. Best rookie for points this season was Cole Oreshny in Washington with 41 points. Andrei Frolov in New Jersey had 37. When was this guy drafted? 9th overall, because I didn't even see him before. Gordon Fawcett, 35 points. Jackson Jacobson with 35. All right. So there is all that. I do want to take a look at our AHL team here briefly as well. How good was our AHL team in terms of our prospects? Camilleri had 33 goals and 49 points. That's very nice. Zetterberg had 36 points. A little bit of a downfall from last year, I think. Actually, no, it's better than last year. Never mind. Good stuff. Who else we got here? Bure on 27 points, up to a 61 at 21. He might not develop. That's kind of not great. What about defense in the AHL? Whitfield had 62 points. Jeez. Up to a 72. Whitfield might be back in the NHL next year based on that. But Whitfield's been a great offensive defenseman at the AHL level. NHL so far hasn't done that. But he could get there. The offensive awareness is definitely the problem in the NHL level, though, I think. And then goaltending, Thorne had a 915 save percentage. Wow. Shout out to Sawyer Thorne. Big year from him in the minors. And then Brandon Ollie in his first season was not too bad either, over 900 save percentage. All right. So there is the stats for Burnaby as well. Now we got to assimilate obviously up to the awards and all that stuff and also find out who wins the Stanley Cup, where we're going to be drafting this season, and what the draft class looks like too, because we don't know about that still, which should be enticing to see if there's any good players in it that we could use. All right, so let's see who ends up winning a Stanley Cup in 2030. Kind of crazy that we're in 2030 already. We've been kind of flying through these early seasons quite quickly, but once we actually start making the playoffs, the series will start to slow down a lot more than it currently is. Like, we're going through like a couple seasons a week, which is kind of crazy. So who wants to win the Stanley Cup in 2030? Is it a team we beat during the season? Probably not. But let's see, who is going to be the Cup champion? If this game would actually simulate fast. And then I don't have to think about random things to say. Vancouver has won the Stanley Cup in 2030. Chicago winning the Calder Cup. So the Vancouver Canucks, the Stanley Cup champions. Who did they beat for the Stanley Cup? Carolina. Overtime game-winning goal in game number, looks like 5, I think. Yeah, probably game number 5. Brock Besser with the overtime Stanley Cup winning goal from JT Miller and Elias Pettersson. So shout out to the Canucks for winning the Stanley Cup. I believe that's the first time they've won in this. Likely Thatcher Demko was a big factor in that, my guess. But first and foremost, let's go to... Actually, let's take a look at the playoff tree. I don't normally take a look at this, but... So Florida got to the conference finals, so Florida almost got back to another finals. Colorado got quite far again with Devin Levi, not really a surprise. Alright, so that's the playoff tree for 2030. If you can't tell what's below me, it's New Jersey and New York, as in the Rangers, so there's that. Alright, let's take a look at these awards. So the real question is, did Ristolainen win the Selke? Because if he won the Selke, I will be very, very impressed. Considering this team was okay defensively, but obviously we're still a long shot from being a very good defensive team. If he won a Selke on our team, I'd be really happy. So Vancouver wins the Stanley Cup, and they won the President's Trophy too, so shout out to them. Vancouver Carolina Cup Finals. Connor McDavid, the Art Ross Trophy winner. He also wins the Hart, not a surprise. Evan Bouchard wins the Norris. Lady Byng going to David Pastrnak. Calder going to Fawcett in Montreal. Must have had the best plus minus out of the rookies, because I don't think he was. I think he was like 4th in rookie points or 3rd. Interesting. Conn Smythe going to JT Miller, so I guess JT Miller helped the Canucks quite a bit. Vezina going to Devin Levi for the 2nd consecutive season, as I'd expect. Jennings also going to Devin Levi for the 3rd consecutive year. So yeah, Levi is having a fantastic time in Colorado. And Buffalo is just screaming on the bottom of the standings. The question about the Selke will be answered here shortly, though. Radish, Bill Masterton for Nashville. So we don't win the Bill Masterton this year because we weren't the worst defensive team. Not Vegas, but the Nashville's coach wins the Jack Adams. That's the 2nd consecutive year this guy's won, too. So shout out to Von Arx. And Selke did go to Ristolainen. Oh my goodness. He's won a Selke on a team that literally is in year 6 of a draft to glory. That is impressive. That's definitely going to go down as an all-time memory in the series for sure. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. I can't wait till we look at the end of his career and just see how much Selkes he's won by then. Because if he's already winning one at 22 years old, he's only going to get better from here on out. So I think he could easily win multiple. But that's a huge win early on in this franchise mode. Joining the likes of Jack Hughes, Robert Thomas, and Sidney Crosby over the last 5 seasons. Let's friggin' go. McDavid the Lindsay, Aho the Richard, and then anything interesting in the AHL? It does not look like it. No, nothing interesting about the AHL really. But shout out to Ristolainen, and we could look at his player card now, and it should show that he has a Selke trophy in his repertoire now. If we go down to here, look at that. Oh, baby, there's his first one, won in 2029-30. Is he going to win another one next season? Who knows? But this guy is starting to become really good. Like, he's not a huge offensive guy right now, but once our team is really, really good, I could see him scoring 40-plus goals and winning a Selke. He was -6, but still won a Selke trophy. That's, man, I can't even imagine winning a Selke trophy on a team that's that bad. Like, I know we weren't super bad on paper, but still, it's just really, really impressive, in my opinion. So there is that. Now the question is, where are we going to be drafting in 2030? And what is this draft class looking like? Also, we'll take a look at the contract situation, obviously going into the offseason too, because I'm curious on who we got to re-sign and give some big money to. But yeah, very happy with that Ristolainen signing from a few years ago. Very happy with it. And we are going to have the 4th overall selection. So we fall from 2 to 4. So this is the latest I think we've ever drafted. So hopefully we get a good elite player here. Hopefully it's something we need. Toronto does win the draft lottery, moving from 9 to 1. Anaheim goes from 4 to 2. And Washington falls back to 3rd. So there is that. Hopefully this draft class doesn't have a franchise player supposed to go 1st overall. Like, does Toronto even need a really good player at this stage if they still have, like, Matthews and all that? I don't think so. In terms of retirements, let's just go by forwards here. Claude Giroux, Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin, the big names. All right, Taylor Hall, Evander Kane, stuff like that. So some solid names. Defensively, the best is Roman Josi. All right, same with John Carlson in Tampa Bay, Dougie Hamilton, Cam Fowler. Wow, Darnell Nurse already retired at 35. I was not expecting that. Okay. Goaltender. Jonathan Quick retires at 44. He must have just been sitting in free agency the last few years, right? Yeah, he hasn't played since 2029. Actually, since last season, I guess. But he was in the AHL, was pretty good down there. Jacob Markstrom also retires at 40 years old. John Gibson retires in Anaheim, so he didn't get dealt. All right. So there's the retirement group. Anybody becomes coaches or anything? Did we lose any coaches? No. Nice. Draft interviews. I guess we could look at the draft interviews, but I don't know if I will do any interviews. But let's take a look and see what we could get here. Oh my goodness. Toronto's getting a franchise two-way defenseman. Of course, I said it. Hopefully there's no franchise guys. Well, Malachi Roberts is going to be joining the Toronto Maple Leafs. Man, if we had the 1st overall section, that would have been nice. I mean, this guy's going to be very expensive down the road, but Toronto's going to get finally that defenseman they've been looking for, unless he becomes like Luke Shen or something. Quentin Johnson, the 2nd overall pick, another defenseman. We don't know what he's going to be like. But for our picks, there's another DFD. I don't need to take another DFD in Stoner. It looks good, but I don't need him. We're probably going to be choosing Doig with our selection, or we could go with the right-handed defenseman. But this guy could be a DFD as well. Caden Keatley. I think Esteban Doig is kind of what we need, actually, too, because we do need more depth on the right wing side of things. He could definitely play behind Staubitz next season, and then maybe eventually take over Staubitz's top-line spot. So, yeah, I think Esteban Doig is what I'm leaning towards right now. There is some top 6 forwards as well. There's another medium elite DFD. Jeez, why is there so much of them now? Mats Persson, 3 years out. Some more top 6 forwards. Maybe a medium elite sniper in Evan Love, but he's 2 years out. Can't really tell on him. But yeah, I think we're definitely going with Doig with our first selection. What about in terms of other rounds? Is there any steals? Ooh, medium elite two-way forward Rick Kim. Rick Kim, what a name. And the guy's from Switzerland, and he's actually playing in Switzerland. All right, center two-way forward, I like that. So Kim will probably be a 2nd round selection of ours. Any other guys that could be elite the pin for sure. Any guaranteed low elites? Yes, sir. Low elite playmaker Trent Sweeney. He's supposed to go actually in the late 1st round, so we probably can't get him, unfortunately. So we might have to go with Mark Dag as one of our picks. A low elite grinder. That's not bad for the bottom 6. So Loviov could be a potential low elite as well, and he's supposed to go maybe early 2nd round. So I'll pin him in case. Same with Sweeney, even though Sweeney's not going to probably go when we pick. Skylar Peterson could be also a low elite. All right. Yeah, this draft class could be good. It could be a good one. Just sucks that we didn't win 1st overall. Like, literally, I don't understand why we always lose draft lotteries, but we technically should have the best odds to get this guy or Washington. But unfortunately, we always just seem to fall back. But yeah, I think Esteban Doig is pretty much locked in as our pick, which is good. So that's going to give us a little bit more stuff on the right wing side of things. All right. Final few things. Let's take a look at the draft class. Actually, the progress reports too, for that matter. Let's take a look at what we're getting in terms of growth here. So in terms of our centers, Ristolainen getting a couple points, even though he just won a friggin' Selke. Wow, Bogosian went up to a 79, so Bogosian's actually listed as a depth forward now. A lot of statistical growth with him, so he could be a lot lower than that. He could be like a 77, so we got to be careful. Steen up to a 74, Tulipov up to a 73. A lot of natural, some statistical with these two guys. All right. Left wing side of things, Kolar is still an 89. And he's still getting a lot of natural growth, but some statistical too. Del Monte, a lot of natural growth, a lot of statistical growth too. So I don't like that. Capaduca up to a 75. A lot of statistical with him, some natural too. Noonan up to a 71. Looks like our entire team should be above a 70 at least next season. Stelwitz back down to an 86. Yeah, he didn't have the best year of the years, I would say. Malkin up to a 75. Statistical growth mostly. Perron still a 74. Timmins a 70. Defensively, Tuzolino up to a 91. Some statistical growth, no natural. Bell up to an 84 overall already after one season. All natural growth. That's really good. Really, really good. His defensive awareness is already a 90 as well. Shot blocking an 89. Like, this guy's going to be a very good shutdown defenseman. Norena went up to an 81 again. He's still been bouncing around a bit, but a lot of statistical growth with him. Hopefully, he can get that offensive awareness a bit higher. Bates, he doesn't really matter too much. Whitfield's up to a 73 now. David, 72. Trevelyan, 71. Yeah, Trevelyan might be on his way out next season, unfortunately, based on overall and age. And then goaltending, Dalcoli's a 75, Shipley's a 74. In the system, Thorne's up to a 71, Ollie is a 70. Tamlin's still only a 69 after not playing a single game this season. Semenov up to a 62, he probably will get signed for the AHL soon. And then Spezza, the medium elite goalie, is up to a 61, so getting some good growth with those goaltenders. Defensively, Spike Parks is only a 70. Yeah, Spike Parks also is getting close to getting weaned out, which kind of sucks because he's got awards and all that. Aside from that, a lot of these other prospects not growing too much. The lowly Tulipov went up to a 60, so that's looking like a pretty good pick with Tulipov up to a 60 already. Gardner went up to a 58. How good was he this season? Not too good. 15 points only. Like, as an offensive defenseman, he should be doing a lot better, but he's definitely going to take his time to develop. Jordan Lee went up to a 53. So the best low lead so far is Tulipov, I would say, for sure. And then in terms of our forward prospects here, Zetterberg up to a 67 at 21. That's not really that bad for a low top 9. I'll take it. Left wing side of things, Camilleri up to a 69. Bure up to a 64. Looks like Bure's getting a lot of natural growth, so maybe he's still on the right trajectory. Guite and Segal and those unsigned guys are getting some growth too. Actually, Segal didn't get any growth. Guite did. Centers, what do we got here? Ahinen, the top 6 forwards, up to a 66 at 20. That's not bad. I will definitely take that. And Winquist, the other top 6, is up to a 57 at 20. All right. So we're getting good growth in our system. That's great to see. And final thing we got to take a look at is the contract situation. Who do we got to re-sign this offseason? All expiring. Kolars and Norena, those obviously the big two. Bogosian's probably going to want a one-way deal, my guess. Let's take a look at what they're looking for right now. So Kolars wants 6 years, potentially. $9 million. Norena, is he looking for a long-term deal? He's looking for only 2 years, but he's looking for like 2.4. Bogosian, does he want one-way yet? He does, 1.1. Okay, that's not really that expensive. Capaduca wants two-way deal. Okay. So everybody that's 75 and below is wanting two ways, it seems like. And then Bogosian and these three are going to actually want one ways. So we got to decide on that. And then from a goalie perspective, all these guys probably want two ways. Yes, they do. I might have to let go of Thorne, even though he was just really good in the AHL, just so Semenov could come in. Yeah, that might be a tough decision. So there is all that. I think we're on the right way of building this team up. We have actually a lot of good overall players, good guys growing in the minors. Draft class ahead looks like it could impact what we actually need to, which is good. So, because if we look at our right wing crop, bringing that two-way forward behind Staubitz would make Malkin more of a third liner, Perron more of a fourth line guy. We are being playing Capaduca as a right winger. He might have to be a third line guy next season, but I think we're developing this team exactly the way we need to, so that's really great. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Albuquerque Aliens Draft to Glory franchise mode. So in next episode, we will take it to the year 6 draft. We'll add some more good prospects for our pool. And the way this team's trending, I think we're definitely going to be in the playoffs in a few years. Because Ristolainen winning a Selke on his team, this team getting better defensively, the offense is starting to get a bit better too. Obviously, that's still a little bit of a weak point, but I think everything is going in the right direction, and I think this team could definitely go far in a couple of years. Like, as long as we get the right growth on our defensive core and then in our bottom 6, I think we'll be good. Obviously, the goaltending is probably a major factor as well, but yeah, everything's looking good so far, and I'm very excited for the upcoming year ahead. So anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.